The child opened his eyes slowly. A bright light filled the room, making him squint. Confused, he tried to sit up, but his body felt heavy. "Where am I?" he thought, panic rising in his chest. He looked around and saw strange machines and glowing panels all around him. The walls were smooth and shiny, and there were no windows. The child felt a wave of fear wash over him. He remembered playing in his backyard just hours ago, the sun shining and the birds singing. Now he was in a strange place, surrounded by creatures he had never seen before. He sat up fully, trying to take in his new surroundings. The air smelled different, like metal and something sweet. He glanced at the machines which beeped and whirred, making noises he couldn't understand. Suddenly he heard voices coming from nearby. 3 alien creatures were standing in front of a large screen. They were tall and thin, with long arms and big heads. Their skin was a strange color, like a mix of blue and green, and they had big, shiny eyes. The child felt a shiver run down his spine. They looked at the screen, pointing and discussing something in their alien language. The child held his breath, afraid they might notice him. He was just a small human child, and they seemed so powerful. He thought about running, but he didn't know where to go. He could barely walk, let alone escape from these strange beings. Suddenly, one of the aliens turned and looked straight at him. Its eyes widened in surprise. The child froze, feeling his heart race. The alien pointed a long finger at him and shouted something in its language. The other aliens turned, their attention now fully on him.
"Help!"
The child wanted to scream, but the words wouldn't come out. Instead, he tried to make himself as small as possible, hoping they wouldn't see him as a threat. The aliens began to approach him, and he felt a surge of fear. What did they want? To his surprise, the aliens didn't look angry. Instead, they seemed curious. They whispered among themselves, their voices low. The child tried to understand their words, but only heard strange sounds. One of them stepped closer, reaching out a hand toward him. The child flinched, but realized the alien was not trying to hurt him. It pointed at the machines and then at him, as if trying to communicate. He looked at the machine beside him. It had buttons and screens, and he felt a strange urge to touch it. With a deep breath, he reached out and pressed a button. Suddenly, lights flashed, and the machine beeped loudly. The aliens jumped back, clearly startled. The child felt a rush of excitement. Maybe he could use this machine to escape. Seeing the aliens step back, he decided to press another button. This time, a screen lit up with colorful images. The child's eyes widened in wonder. He saw pictures of stars, planets, and strange creatures. It was like a window to another world. The aliens exchanged glances, their big eyes filled with amazement. They whispered to each other, pointing at the screen and then at the child. He felt a sense of power swell inside him. They didn't know what he could do. He was not just a helpless child. He had the chance to show them he was more than they thought. But deep down, he knew he needed to escape. He couldn't stay here forever. The memories of home flooded back. His mom's warm hugs and the laughter of his friends. He had to find a way back. As the aliens continued to study him and the machine, the child started to think of a plan. He would use their curiosity against them. He would find a way to escape and go back to the life he knew. The adventure was just beginning, and he felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The child sat in the bright room, surrounded by strange machines and curious aliens. He felt scared and alone, but deep down, something was changing. He was beginning to understand that he had more strength than he realized. The feeling grew inside him like a small flame ready to ignite. As he looked at the machines, he noticed the aliens watching him closely. Their eyes were wide with interest. They seemed to be trying to understand him, but the child had no idea what they were planning. All he knew was that he had to stay strong and find a way to escape. Remembering the buttons he pressed earlier, he decided to try again. He moved closer to the nearest machine, feeling a mix of fear and excitement. With a deep breath, he reached out and touched a big red button. This time, the machine lit up even brighter, and the screen showed images of stars and planets spinning. The aliens gasped in amazement. They were shocked at how a small human child could control their technology. The child felt a surge of confidence. He wasn't just a captive. He was beginning to realize he had power too. What else can I do? He wondered, his mind racing with possibilities. He began to explore the machine, pressing different buttons and watching the screens come alive with colors and shapes. The more he interacted, the more excited he became. The aliens continued to watch him with wide eyes, whispering to each other. One of them took a step forward, pointing at the screen and then back at the child. It seemed to be asking a question. The child looked at the alien, trying to understand. Feeling bold, he pointed back at the alien and then at the machine. Maybe we can work together, he thought. The alien seemed to understand, nodding its head. The child felt a strange bond forming. He realized that even in this scary situation, he could make a friend. With his new ally, the child started to learn more about the ship and its technology. The alien showed him how to operate some machines, and the child taught the alien a few words from his language. They laughed and communicated in their unique way, bridging the gap between their worlds. As days passed, the child became more comfortable on the ship. He learned to navigate through the corridors and even found a small window where he could see the stars outside. Each night he would gaze at the twinkling lights, remembering Earth and dreaming of home. But now he also dreamed of adventure and escape. One day, while exploring the ship, he stumbled upon a large room filled with maps and models of different planets. His heart raced with excitement. This could be the key to getting back home. The child ran to his alien friend, eager to share his discovery. "Look," he said, pointing at the maps. "If we study these, we can find a way to Earth." His friend's eyes sparkled with understanding. Together, they studied the charts, learning about different worlds and the routes the ship took. With each passing day, the child grew stronger and more confident. He discovered he could solve problems and think quickly. The other aliens began to notice his intelligence. They no longer saw him as just a child, but as someone special, someone with skills that could help them. But deep inside, the child knew he still needed to escape. He had to find a way back to Earth before it was too late. The thought of his family kept him motivated. He wanted to see his mother's smile again and play with his friends. One evening, as he sat with his alien friend, he felt a spark of determination. "We can do this," he whispered, looking up at the stars. "We will find a way to escape together." His friend nodded, and they began to make plans. They would use everything they had learned and their growing friendship to overcome the challenges ahead. As the child looked out at the vast universe, he felt ready. He was not just a lost human boy anymore, he was a brave hero in the making. With newfound strength and courage, he was ready to face whatever awaited him in the stars. As the child gazed out at the stars through the small window, his heart filled with a mix of emotions. The sparkling lights twinkled in the dark sky, reminding him of home. He closed his eyes and let the memories wash over him like a warm blanket. He remembered playing in his backyard on sunny afternoons. The laughter of his friends echoed in his mind. They would run around, pretending to be heroes in epic battles. He could almost hear the sound of their joy, the way they shouted and cheered each other on. Those moments felt so far away now, like a distant dream. The child opened his eyes and turned away from the window. He sat down on the cold metal floor, feeling a wave of sadness. "I miss my mom," he whispered, wishing he could hear her soothing voice again. She would always know how to make him feel safe, to chase away his fears. "Why did they take me?" he thought, clenching his fists. "I just wanted to play." The fear of being lost in this strange place overwhelmed him. But as he thought more about home, he felt a new strength rising within him. He remembered how his mom used to tell him stories of brave heroes. She would say that heroes never gave up, no matter how hard things got. Suddenly, the child felt a spark of hope. He was not just a lost boy, he was a hero in training. He thought about all the things he loved about Earth. The smell of fresh grass after the rain, the warmth of the sun on his face, and the taste of his favorite ice cream. He could picture himself running through the park, the wind in his hair and laughter all around. The memories gave him energy. He decided he wouldn't let fear win. He had to fight for his freedom and find a way back home. "I will not give up," he said to himself, determination filling his heart. Just then his alien friend appeared, noticing the child's sadness. The alien tilted its head, looking concerned. "What's wrong?" it seemed to ask, its big eyes full of kindness. The child looked up and smiled weakly. "I miss my home," he said quietly. He explained how he used to play with his friends and how much he wanted to go back. The alien listened carefully, its expression softening. Then, to the child's surprise, the alien began to draw in the dirt with a stick. It created a picture of a beautiful place filled with green trees and colorful flowers. The child's eyes widened in wonder. "What is that?" he asked, curious. "Home," the alien seemed to say with its gestures. It showed the child a place of happiness and peace, just like his own memories. The child's heart swelled. He realized that even though they were from different worlds, they shared a desire for happiness and a place to belong. Inspired by his alien friend's drawing, the child decided to tell his friend more stories about Earth. He described the playground where he played, the delicious food his mom made, and the way the stars looked from his bedroom window. The alien listened intently, its eyes sparkling with curiosity. As the child spoke, he felt lighter, like a weight was being lifted from his shoulders. He found strength in his memories, and he knew that these memories would help him fight to return home. "We will find a way back," he said, looking at his friend with determination. Together, the alien seemed to agree, nodding its head enthusiastically. The bond between them grew stronger as they shared their stories and dreams. The child felt a surge of hope. Even in this strange place, he had someone by his side who understood his feelings. Together, they would create their own adventure, one filled with friendship and courage. As the stars twinkled above them, the child whispered softly, "I will find my way home. I will be a hero, just like in the stories." With renewed determination, he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Home was waiting for him, and he would not rest until he returned. As days turned into weeks, the child and the alien grew closer. They shared laughter and stories, learning about each other's worlds. The child discovered that his alien friend was named Zara. She was curious and kind, always eager to help him understand the strange ship they were on. One sunny day, Zara invited the child to explore a new part of the ship. "Come on," she said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. The child felt a rush of joy. Exploring was one of his favorite things to do, and now he had a friend to share it with. Together they walked through the bright corridors, passing strange machines and colorful lights. The ship felt more like home with Zara by his side. "What do you think is in here?" the child asked, pointing to a door covered in glowing symbols. Zara shrugged, her expression full of curiosity. "Let's find out," she replied with a grin. They opened the door, and inside they found a room filled with fascinating gadgets and tools. The child's eyes widened in wonder. There were strange devices that whirred and clicked, and colorful screens that showed images of distant planets. As they explored the room, Zara picked up a shiny object that looked like a small globe. "This is a map of our galaxy!" she exclaimed, her voice filled with excitement. The child rushed over to see. The map was beautiful, filled with bright colors and swirling patterns. "Can we look for Earth?" he asked, feeling a spark of hope. Zara nodded eagerly, and together they searched the map. The child pointed to different planets, imagining what they would be like. Each new discovery filled him with joy. After a while, they found a small blue dot on the map. "Is that Earth?" Zara asked, her eyes shining with curiosity. The child felt a thrill of excitement. "Yes! That's it!" he shouted, jumping up and down. Zara smiled, happy to share this moment with him. "Let's plan our journey," she said, pulling out a piece of paper and some colorful markers. They began to draw a path from the ship to Earth, discussing how they would travel. The child felt a deep bond forming between them. Zara was not just a friend, she was his partner in adventure. They laughed and joked, imagining all the fun they would have when they reached Earth. Suddenly, Zara grew serious. "But what if the others find out?" she asked, her voice dropping. The child's heart sank. He remembered the other aliens who had taken him from home. "What do you mean?" he asked, worry creeping into his voice. Zara explained that the crew of the ship might not understand their friendship. They had always seen humans as strange and weak. "They might not want you to leave," she said softly. The child's heart raced. "But I want to go home!" he exclaimed, feeling a mix of fear and determination. "We have to find a way!" Zara nodded, her eyes filled with understanding. "We will," she said, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We just need to be careful." They continued to draw their plans, talking quietly about what they would do once they reached Earth. The child told Zara about his favorite places, like the park where he played soccer and the beach where he built sandcastles. Zara listened with wide eyes, fascinated by everything he said. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow through the ship, the child felt grateful for Zara. She was brave and smart, and together they could face any challenge. "Thank you for being my friend," he said sincerely. Zara smiled brightly, her alien features glowing in the dim light. "Thank you for being mine," she replied. In that moment, the child knew they would find a way home. Their friendship was strong, and together they could overcome anything. As they sat side by side, looking at the map of the galaxy, they dreamed of adventure. They knew the journey ahead would be filled with obstacles, but with each other's support, they felt ready to face whatever came their way. In the vastness of space, they had found a friend, and together they would make their dreams come true. As the days went by, the child and Zara worked hard on their escape plan. They knew it would be difficult, but their friendship gave them strength. Together, they shared ideas and drew maps, imagining how they would leave the ship and return to Earth. One evening, they met in their favorite corner of the ship, a cozy spot filled with soft lights. The child spread out their drawings on the floor. "We need to figure out how to get past the guards," he said, feeling a bit nervous. Zara nodded, her brow furrowed in thought. "I have seen the guards' schedule. They change shifts every 2 hours," she said, her voice steady. "We can sneak out when they are not watching." The child's eyes lit up with hope. "That's a great idea, but where do we go once we get outside?" he asked. They needed a safe place to hide until they could find a way to their home planet. Zara thought for a moment. "There is a small escape pod at the back of the ship," she said. "It can take us to a nearby planet. We can figure out the rest from there." "Perfect," the child exclaimed, feeling excitement bubbling inside him. They quickly drew a new map, marking the escape pod's location. The child felt like a true hero, planning a great adventure. They worked late into the night, gathering supplies for their journey. The child collected small items that could be useful, like a flashlight, some snacks, and a bottle of water. Zara gathered tools, including a small device that could open doors. "This will help us get past any locked doors," she explained, showing it to him with pride. As they prepared, the child's heart raced with anticipation. What if something goes wrong? He wondered aloud, suddenly feeling anxious. Zara placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We have each other. We will make it," she said firmly. Her confidence made him feel better. He took a deep breath, reminding himself of all the fun they had shared and how far they had come together. Finally, the day of the escape arrived. They waited for the guards to change shifts, counting the minutes nervously. The child's heart pounded in his chest, and he could feel a mix of fear and excitement. When the time came, they crept through the corridors of the ship. Zara led the way, her eyes scanning for any signs of danger. The child followed closely behind, staying as quiet as a mouse. They reached the door leading to the escape pod. Zara used her device to unlock it, and the door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside the pod, the child marveled at the control panel filled with blinking lights and buttons. "Wow, this looks amazing," he exclaimed. Zara grinned, thrilled to share this moment with him. "We just have to press the right buttons to launch," Zara said, her fingers dancing over the controls. She quickly found the launch button, but then her face turned serious. "Are you ready?" she asked, looking into the child's eyes. The child took a deep breath and nodded. "Let's do it!" Zara pressed the button and the pod began to shake. The child felt a rush of adrenaline as the pod shot out of the ship, leaving the giant vessel behind. They were flying through space and the stars looked brighter than ever. Suddenly, alarms blared around them. "They found us!" the child yelled, panic rising in his chest. "Hold on!" Zara shouted, her hands gripping the controls tightly. She expertly maneuvered the pod, dodging beams of light that shot past them. The child held his breath, amazed at how brave Zara was in the face of danger. "Just a little longer!" Zara shouted, her voice steady despite the chaos. The child focused on her, finding strength in her bravery. Finally, they entered the atmosphere of a nearby planet. The pod shook and rattled, but Zara kept her focus. "We're almost there," she called out. With a final jolt, the pod landed safely on the ground. They both sighed in relief, smiling at each other in disbelief. "We did it!" the child exclaimed, jumping up and down. Zara laughed, feeling a wave of joy. They had escaped the ship together, and now they stood on a new planet, ready for their next adventure. As they looked around at the strange landscape, the child felt a sense of freedom. They were no longer trapped. They were free to explore the universe together. With Zara by his side, he knew anything was possible. The new planet was unlike anything the child had ever seen. Bright colors surrounded him, blue trees with purple leaves, soft green grass, and flowers that glowed in the dark. It felt like a dream, a perfect place to start their adventure. But the excitement in the air was mixed with fear. They knew they needed to find a way to get back to Earth. "Where do we go from here?" the child asked, looking around at the strange landscape. Zara, his alien friend, was full of ideas. "Let's look for a way to communicate with my people," she said. "Maybe they can help us." They began to walk, their hearts full of hope. As they explored, the child took in the beauty around him. Small creatures scurried by, and strange sounds echoed in the air. He felt a thrill of adventure, but also a little nervous about what they might find. After walking for a while, they came across a small village made of colorful huts. The villagers were friendly-looking aliens, with bright skin and big, curious eyes. Zara waved at them, and they waved back with smiles. "This is a good sign," she said. "They might help us." The child felt a surge of courage. Together, they approached the village. Zara explained to the villagers that they needed to find a way to contact her people. The aliens listened carefully, nodding their heads. One of the villagers, a tall alien with shimmering green skin, stepped forward. "We can help you," he said, his voice warm and welcoming. The villagers led Zara and the child to a large building at the center of the village. Inside, there were strange machines and glowing screens. The child was amazed. "What is all this?" he asked, wide-eyed. "This is our communication center," the green alien explained. "We can send messages to any part of the galaxy." Zara smiled, grateful for their help. "Thank you," she said. They all gathered around the main machine. Zara explained their situation. "We are lost and we need to reach my people. Can you help us?" The green alien nodded, typing on the screen. The child watched in awe as images and words flew across the display. After a few minutes, the green alien turned to them. "We have sent your message. Now we wait for a response," he said. Zara thanked him again, feeling hopeful. As they waited, the child began to feel anxious. What if nobody came? What if they were stuck on this strange planet forever? He tried to push those thoughts away, focusing instead on the friendly villagers around him. They offered him fruits that looked like tiny suns, and he took a bite. It was sweet and juicy, making him smile. Hours passed, and just when the child thought all hope was lost, a bright light appeared in the sky. It grew larger and larger until it turned into a ship. The villagers gasped, looking up in awe. Zara jumped to her feet, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "That's my people!" she shouted. The ship landed gracefully near the village, and Zara ran towards it, her heart racing. The child followed closely behind, feeling a mix of joy and fear. He had made a friend on this planet, but he was also scared of leaving. As the ship's door opened, a group of aliens stepped out. They looked like Zara, but taller and more serious. Zara rushed to them, waving her arms. "I'm back! I need your help!" she called out. The leader of the group, a tall alien with a silver crest, looked down at Zara. "You should not have left the ship," he said firmly. "It is dangerous here." "But I had to help my friend," Zara replied, pointing at the child. "He was taken from Earth. We need to get him home." The tall alien turned to the child, studying him carefully. The child felt small and frightened under his gaze. "Is this true?" the leader asked, his voice deep. "Yes," the child replied, his voice shaking. "I want to go home." "I don't belong here." The tall alien nodded slowly, understanding the child's fear. "We will help you," he said finally. "But we must be careful. There are dangers on this planet." Zara smiled brightly, her eyes filled with hope. The child felt a surge of relief wash over him. They were not alone anymore. With Zara and her people by their side, they could finally try to escape. But deep down, the child knew that their journey was far from over. They would have to face many challenges before they could reach Earth. And he was ready to do whatever it took to go home.